Hi there, welcome to this new video, and in this video we will look at the time series and other models like ARIMAX and SARIMAX. So far we have discussed the time series modeling, where we have looked at the ARIMA model or the ARIMA model, which is autoregressive integrated moving average, where you know that if the trend is over there, then how you can do the prediction on the univariate time series data. So I got a comment or maybe a question, you can say, that if I can produce a video on the ARIMAX and SARIMAX, and honestly I have to go through first the concept just to understood what is ARIMAX and SARIMAX, and basically understand the functioning behind it. So based on what I understood, I have condensed my 3 hours of study into this presentation so that you can quickly get it out of it and easily understand the ARIMAX and SARIMAX. Alright, so what we can do is let me just quickly cover the agenda, what we're going to discuss. First is what is ARIMAX and SARIMAX. I think once I'll explain you will be quickly able to understand, as the name is pretty straightforward. Then what is this X factor, that is after both ARIMA and SARIMA. And then you have the example of this X factor, because in theory you will find very difficult, because I found it very difficult when I first read about this factor, and there is a lot of theory which is out there, but I tried to simplify it by taking an example of from one of the research paper. I can't recollect because I was doing a lot of search around there at that time, but that example I found it very perfect and very much related to our day-to-day work. So I'll show you that example. And the implementation of SARIMAX in Python, how you can import the relevant libraries, do the configuration into the function. However, it is very standard. If you have seen my previous videos related to the ARIMA, it is in line with that, but just couple of things which I will show you related to how to have this X factor adjusted over there. So stay tuned for that, and let's move ahead and see ARIMAX and SARIMAX in action. So to understand ARIMAX, let's see what is ARIMA. First of all, ARIMA is autoregressive integrated moving average, which is forecasting based on the presence of trend. So whenever there is a trend is present, we kind of create the stationary series to reduce the effect of trend and then do this ARIMA based forecasting. If you have not seen my previous video, I have explained it in detail in a very long videos along with projects about ARIMA. So I suggest that you see it over there if you are not at all aware about this. Now SARIMA, or seasonal autoregressive integrated moving average, is along with the trend you have a presence of seasonality as well. So seasonality, as you can see, it is based on season. Like in summer season you have clothes which is very light or which is very dry in nature, so that you can you don't feel the lot of heat when you are wearing it, as well as or as compared to the winter, when you have a lot of cold out there and you would like to protect yourself with the warm jacket or something. So you will see that in winter season the sale of the woolen clothes is going high. So that's basically a very simple example of seasonality. However, there are various other things that you can correlate with your seasonality factors. All right, so this is basically again ARIMA, but having the effect of seasonality is something for those time series which has both the trend as well as seasonality. Now what is this X factor? Well, this X factor is exogenous variable. Now before I explain you this theory, I think it will make in just 1 second very clear what is exogenous variable if you just look at the definition of exogenous variable. So I have it here in the Google over here. So what is exogenous is basically having an external cause or origin. That means there is some other external factor which is impacting it. or in biology it says growing or originating from outside an organism, or psychiatry, a disease or symptom attributable to an agent of organism outside the body. So all in all, it is basically saying that there is some factor which is outside of the overall factor that we are studying. So coming back to our presentation, if I just go in the presentation mode and come back, so it's the same thing I have written over here, a factor in the model whose value is identified by the factors of variables outside the model of study. So just to simplify this definition, I know understanding definition is really difficult because they are like tightly condensed, or the words which are arranged in a very tightly fashion just to explain this entire thing. So an example for this is that in farming, production forecast, so production is basically the output of the farming, the grains or anything that you are producing in farming. So production forecast is based on factors like area of land or quality of seed, etc. But in this, rainfall is an exogenous variable whose value will be determined by other factors like what is the humidity or what is the airspeed, etc. So as you can see, production is heavily dependent on some of the direct variables, but indirectly or externally it has rainfall as an exogenous factor. So suppose in a time series data that you are collecting related to the farming for over a period of 10 years or 20 years, along with, let's say, area of land that is over there, or the quality of seed value if you are having it over there, what you are also having is basically the rainfall which was there at that point in time. I think it is in millimeters what they capture, so 100 mm, 200 mm, 500 mm, things like that. So you can capture that and keep this as your X factor, or the external factor that is impacting the production forecast. So as you can see, it is very important for a time series data from the forecasting perspective. So that is, in a very simple language, my 3 or 4 hours of study. I just wanted to show you in this simple one slide that this is what I could finally figure it out from all of the different papers that I studied. So now let's go ahead and see it in action in the Jupyter notebook. So first of all, or maybe what I can do is I can show you the data set which I am having first of all. So I will say Window E and desktop, and in here the files that I've been using. So I have the sales, shampoo sales with exogenous variable. So if you see, it's having 3 variable. One is month, another is sales. What is the sales? Or maybe the output of the production factor, or output of farming example that I said. And then finally the inflation. So what is the inflation between 1 to 5? So you can have, I have just customized it. This is not real data, just to be clear. And what I have done over here is simply said rand between 1 to 5, and it will give you some value, right? So between 1 to 5. So generally 1 to 5 is an inflation rate which you find in the developing countries, and that's what I have just tried to take it over here and try to assign it the inflation. However, I know it's a very high inflation figure. It usually doesn't happen like that, but just for the representation that this is something exogenous variable, the inflation. So sales is having some factors like marketing, and in which market you are going, whether you are doing any other promotional activity. So it has a lot of direct impact on that. But inflation is another impact based on the spending power of the people, and then we are determining whether this is having an impact on the sales or not, or this is like an additional parameter which are supporting the sales. So I'll just close this. I don't want to save it. So let me go over here. So import pandas svd, and then import stats models .tsa .stats space. I guess the name is, yeah, set space dot SARIMAX, import the SARIMAX. And in case we want to plot the variable, so percentage matplotlib inline from. All right, over here. Okay, all good. Now shampoo equals to pd dot read underscore csv, and then what we have is, let me try with, first of all, with this shampoo exogenous.csv, and I will surround this by opening and closing. You can find the data set in description. So let's go ahead and execute this and just see the data over here. So one thing which I'll do is I'll make an index. So shampoo dot index equals to shampoo dot month. All right, so now if I see the head, so 1st of Jan, all of this is in over here in the month. And another thing that can be done is you can just go ahead and remove that. All right, so but what I need is basically mostly the sales information and inflation. So I'll just simply, first of all, what I'll do is I'll just plot the data, and that, so this basically indicates that there is definitely a trend present and some sort of a seasonality. If you see this and over here this particular one, so if there is some seasonality is present, then we'll just go ahead and impute or not impute, put the variables for the seasonal order. So to create a model, we will use the SARIMAX function. So I will say SARIMAX underscore model equals to SARIMAX, and first of all the data which is in the shampoo, and it is sales, that's what the output we want, and then the order is tuple. So let's say order is 1, 1, 1. I have shown in my previous video how you would identify this order. So let me go ahead and specify the seasonal order, and let's say this is 1, 1, 1 and 4. This basically indicates that it is a quarterly series. Now all of this, I know you have been finding it little confusing that how I'm specifying. This is just randomly I'm going ahead and specifying the values of the PDQ. So it's basically those factors which I have explained in my previous video for ARIMA. Same is the case for seasonal. The only extra parameter I'm specifying is basically 4, which indicates it's quarterly. If it is 12, it is monthly, so on and so forth. So this is what I'm doing, and these factors are basically, I have shown in my previous videos, you can determine based on the the accuracy that is coming out of the of these parameters, 111 or 101 or 121 or 212. What you will specify is something you can automate using my previous video. And seasonal order is this, and then there is third parameter, another parameter, I think the fourth one or the third one. So 1, 2, 3, yeah, fourth one is exogenous variable, and that is nothing but the inflation. I hope I'm writing it correct. Inflation, yeah. So this is how you specify that external factor. Let's keep calling that external factor, so that it is there in our mind. It's always we are remembering, okay, this is an external factor which is impacting our series. This is an external factor which is impacting our series. So the more we will try to remind ourselves, not as this heavyweight term like exogenous, but as an external factor, that will be easy because we love simple language. So if I execute, throws an error. Let me see, earlier when I was testing it, it was not throwing. So yes, I am writing it this incorrect. Yeah, because I have tested all of this script before coming here. So just execute this, and what I'll do is I will fit the model. So we have created a model. Model is stored in this. So to get the results, what I will do is SARIMAX underscore model and disp equals to false. All right. Why I am writing this, I have already explained in one of my previous video, or I would like to just give you an small assignment that figure this out. It's something related to the warning. So if I SARIMAX object is not callable. All right, what I have missed is fit. Okay, perfect. So what I can do now, I can simply call the method summary, and here you can have a good summary of your model and basically see the inflation factor, and its p-value is definitely 0.0 more than 0.005. So it's basically something which is not contributing as expected, because it is just a random stuff which I have taken it. But in normal scenarios also it may happen that it is not adding the impact on this. So it's completely based on the experimentation. Then autoregressive term, the moving term, the autoregressive seasonal term, the moving average seasonal term, and then some of the statistics over here which you may want to evaluate based on how your data is and how your model is coming up. And all of these are like very straightforward, the repetitive statistics from the time series model. So that is at a very high level. I wanted to show you the definition of ARIMAX and SARIMAX, and how you can implement the SARIMAX over here. Now the question may come is that what about ARIMAX, right? We talked about SARIMAX over here. So for example, if you don't have a seasonal order, so what is making SARIMAX? SARIMAX is basically seasonal order. If you don't have the seasonal order, if you remove this, Control X, remove this, hide the additional comma, then it's basically this SARIMAX is actually becoming an ARIMAX, because we have just removed the seasonal component out of it, and the method will be the same. So from the same method you can achieve ARIMAX as well as SARIMAX, and yeah, get the effect of the external impact using the exogenous variable. So that's about it I wanted to discuss in this video. Hope you have found it useful and an addition to your knowledge, and that's pretty much it. And if you like it, go ahead and hit the like button. Let me know in comments what do you think about it, and share it with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.